Welcome to the Primal Show with Gary Collins and Heath Squier. Today we're going to be talking about the farmers market and why it's so good to go organic, and what a great place the farmers market is to get organic, foods and vegetables and fruits and all sorts of good things. Gary has written a book called The Organic Caveman, which kind of goes into detail on why it is so healthy to go organic. Gary, can you tell us a little more about your thoughts on why it's great to go organic? And
Well, it's kind of I call it the final step. I don't expect people, like in my first book, I don't talk a ton about organics because I feel it's overwhelming for the newbie, just trying to figure out what to eat, let alone having to figure out what a farmer's market is, what a CSA is, and how to find true organic foods. And I talk about GMOs, and I talk about monoculture and polyculture and the difference, and how to navigate a farmer's market, because people think once you go to a farmer's market that everything there is organic, and that is not the case. Even farmers markets have some people who are shady and skate the system, and they end up being just normal crop producers who go to the farmer's market and dump off basically they're close to fully ripe or overripe foods. So you have to be careful there, and that's why I always talk about know your farmer, know who you're buying from. That is the key. And I think what spurred this episode, wouldn't you say, is some of the people starting to talk about giving shopping lists for the paleo or ancestral health world at like Walmart and Target and Costco. I'm just like, again, I just shake my head and I go, these are the people who preached, slow food, get to know your farmer, and now they're pushing out, oh, go to Walmart and buy all your food. And you just shake your head and go, oh my God, you're killing me right now. You're just killing me.
now I'm going to have to interject something here about Walmart. I got to say that they approached us and about bringing in some of our products, which obviously, and they actually were trying to make a legitimate go of bringing in some healthy things. Now, I haven't really seen that happen. I think they get obviously really scared by the pricing, but it's interesting to see that they're actually trying to make an effort. They're investigating it. They're trying to rein in some better brands. But when I actually go to Walmart and what I see there, I would say it's probably really hard to find organic there. But I
Yeah.
know at least it's on their radar, and
Well, here's the problem. It's on the radar because it's a money-making machine.
right.
Has nothing to do with health, and that's where I get pissed off. Is it's all about financial opportunity, and I'm going to go into. I think this is a good time to talk about how economies work. Am I an economist? No, but I own a business and a small business, and I understand how small communities work. I grew up in one. I grew up in a small ranching town, and to understand, people always say a Walmart comes in and provides all these jobs in these smaller communities. Well, that's completely, utterly false when you break it down, because a Walmart knocks out all the mom and pop shops. And it's just not one store. It's not just taking out your grocery store or your goods store. It takes out the sporting goods store. It takes out the automotive store. It takes out the grocery store. It takes out the pharmacy, the local pharmacy. It takes out the clothing stores. I mean, it literally obliterates small economies. And then the problem with that is the money never goes back into the community for the most part. It does some of it through the employees, but they're paid a lower wage most of the time than they would make in that local mom and pop store. And the money funnels back out and goes back to Walmart corporate. And then also, Walmart is a huge purchaser of products from China and overseas. So they're not even buying our product. It's basic economics. And
Right.
that's what I got a little perturbed at, that people who are in our movement and who were always the preaching buy organic, buy local, and now they're going off in these tangents. And that is not the purpose. What we want you to do is we want you to build relationships with the people you're getting your products from. Walmart doesn't have any relationship with you. They could care less. All they want, and I'm not saying, Walmart's big evil and this and that, and it's ruining the world, even though I do believe that in some senses. I think that kind of model is part of the degeneration of America in general. I mean, it's just a piece of the puzzle. But that's the thing. I always, you know, I could go buy stuff much cheaper where I'm at right now, but I go into the local community in the local small towns and I buy it there. Do I pay more? Yes. Will I get a better product? Sometimes. It depends what they're carrying. But I'm supporting them. I'm supporting their family. I'm supporting all their employees and all their employees' families. I mean, that's where I get upset. It's like I just, it threw me off. And that's the whole point of farmers markets, is those are usually small business owners, small farmers selling their products in an open market, basically.
Yeah, I think you touched on a couple of things there. One being that when you do go to the farmer's market is to make sure that you see, if they're claiming organic, they usually will display like some sort of organic cert, like I think it's like a CCOE or something like that, or OA. But there are some legitimately great people at the farmer's market, but there's
Yep.
also ones that you need to avoid, that are
Yeah.
there because they couldn't maybe make it in the real world, and so definitely want to be leery. I mean, there's some also great local stores that are really doing it right. Like there's one here in San Diego called Jimbo's, where
Yeah.
almost everything's organic, everything's GMO free. Whole Foods is another one that's really making strides too. I do think that they need to improve their organic selection, even more so. But I think that they're making great strides on many
Yeah.
different fronts. But the way to combat Walmart and so forth is to really change your selection at your store. You're not going to be put out of business by Walmart if you have a selection that is different and unique, and that is really, focused in like this Jimbo's where everything's organic, GMO free. They're marketing and advertising that, and they have an amazing selection of vegetables and fruits and everything. So I think, there are great grocery stores out there, but you have to look because not everybody is really cued into what is, what's in demand. And people are now
Yeah.
starting to demand this organic, vegetables and fruits and groceries. And, unfortunately, the farmers market, they offer a ton of great, organic products there. And one of the reasons to go organic, at least for myself, is because the fertilizers and the pesticides and things can stimulate. They have like they mimic estrogen in the body. So what happens
Yeah.
as a guy, you start. It's almost like if you're consuming soy, you're starting to see man boobs. You see
Yeah.
gynecomastia, and you're like, or why am I gaining this layer of fat all of a sudden? Because your body's getting over estrogenized from these pesticides or xenoestrogens they call it. And if you do a little research on this, it triggers fat in the body. So you're trying to lose weight and eat healthy fruits and vegetables, but if you're not going organic, you're taking an overabundance of xenoestrogens. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh yeah, well the herbicides and pesticides, all the chemicals that go in, and the neurotoxins, and the cancer and the carcinogens that cause cancer. I mean, there's so many issues with it, but birth defects are the biggest one,
Right.
and that is the biggest thing when you use herbicides and pesticides. And they've studied that, and we've seen it in our culture, as far as the American culture, of our fertility rates declining. And I think a lot of it has to do with a majority of it. It has to do with the foods we're eating and the chemicals that are used to process them. And yeah, I mean, it's always, as we've always said, and I pound this in the ground. When you mess with Mother Nature, she's going to come back and slap you in the face every single time. And that's when you start getting into the organics. And even organics, you got to be careful too with USD organic, because there's a lot of loopholes in it. But it's always a better choice than the conventional grown alternative. But the farmer's market gives you an opportunity to actually meet a farmer who may not have that USDA certification or the other certifications for organic, but they're using all the practices. They just don't have the money to get the certification because it's very pricey. And that's your small time farmer. And that, how you get to know that is you talk to them, and you have to do this thing. You have to do this crazy thing, go to their farm. And I
Right.
always tell people, go to their farm. If they're willing to give you a tour and show you what they're doing, that's a good sign. If you ask to go see their farm and go on a tour and they say, absolutely not, we don't do them, I wouldn't buy from them. I honestly wouldn't.
Right.
I've never had a farmer who raises, you know, animals in the proper way or grows their fruits and vegetables in the proper way, I've never had them reject me to do a tour, ever. Not one.
Right. What do you know? Something I learned, very recently was about the USDA certified organic products. And when you have a certified organic product, you get to display the USDA organic symbol on it. But I think
Mhm.
you only have to be what 80% organic. I could be wrong on this to actually have that seal. That means you could have like 10 or 20%. It's either
Yeah.
8 or 90%. I'm not 100% sure, but that means you can have 10 or 20% of stuff in there and still be certified. That's why when you're looking at ingredient panel, it's you really have to look in on what specific ingredients are organic and not assume that the entire thing is organic. This
Yeah,
is
because they'll put an
something
asterisk by it. That's the
right,
usual way is you'll see an asterisk by the ingredient, and then at the bottom it'll say all asterisk items are organic. You're
right,
right. You're totally right. And that's a problem too, is that with the USDA organic label, it's getting more and more exceptions, and the label's starting to get tainted, and I'm starting to worry about it. I mean, the way to avoid it, though, again, is what do? You go to your farmer's market, you get to know your farmer, you get to know your rancher. That's where I found my meat source, was at a farmer's market, local farmer's market. And I've been buying meat from them for years. And that's where I found them. And I got to know them and we talked, and now we're friends. I mean, you know, and that's how it works. That's how you want to have your relationship when it comes to health. It's just like going to a gym. You want to go to a gym where you trust the person who's running it, that you talk to them, it's a good atmosphere, you fit in, you enjoy going, and I always preach that too. And I it's just the problem with food and health today is we've eliminated the relationships. It's just buying a product and there's not much else going on, and I think that's a problem.
yeah. One neat thing about being in the food manufacturing side of business is we get to control the ingredients we source. So we can, all of our products are gluten free, GMO free, and we get to request, the lab analysis because we actually make sure that our ingredients that we're sourcing aren't they're all GMO free. So they're getting, certification. So it's great, we actually require that for all the ingredients that go into our products. So, I think, there's a lot of other companies like ourselves that are going to that effort. You just got to look for them, and make sure the products are
Yeah.
GMO free. I know, like, I have a little 2-year old girl, and there was these things called Pirate's Booty that was sold everywhere, and it's like,
Yeah.
it was so popular, and I emailed them multiple times, like, my daughter loves your stuff, but you know what? I can't give it to her anymore because I see on your site it has GMOs. And guess what they just did? They just went through the full GMO verified project, and now they're GMO free. And companies are starting to become really aware. That's another thing about shopping at the farmers market. Most of the stuff's GMO free because it's right from the farm. So
Yep.
just ask questions when you go to the farmers market. Make sure it's organic. Ask to check out the farm. And that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. And well, just general questioning. I put any person I buy stuff through, because of my background, I basically interrogate them. So I start interviewing them, and if they start giving me the wrong answers or can't answer my questions, that's a red flag. And I go, okay, if you don't even know your product, that's a problem to me. And if I know more about your product than you do, that's another problem. So it's always, you just got to use your intuition and use your ability to build relationships. It's just like if you were to meet someone at a party or on the street, and you start talking to them and you go, something's wrong with this person. Something isn't right. It's the same intuition what you're using to get your products, and it's building that trust. So yeah, I hope this helps people, because I know farmers markets can be kind of tricky. But it's less tricky than walking into Walmart and walking through 15 aisles of cheese puffs and candy bars and licorice sticks or whatever before you find, an organic carrot. So
Yeah, no, I agree. And, hopefully, they will start carrying more organic products. It's actually simple to shop at Walmart because there's nothing you can really buy, unless it's GMO free and organic, to pretty much stay away from it. So, um,
yeah.
so yeah, if any of you have questions, email Gary at theprimalshow.com and myself, Heath at theprimalshow.com. heathsquiergarycollins.com, and make sure you subscribe each time we put out a new video. You will get email notifications, so hit subscribe on our YouTube channel page, and we'll see you soon.